Hey guys, here's the gear for today. I'm going to try out Lothur grooming. Not for the first time on my channel, but the first time having a real tub here. Blade is going to be a Perma-Sharp, a few uses on it. I'm going to put that in the Pearl Shaving. This is a version 7 of the Pearl Flexi adjustable razor. And then this is a knot from APSCo, and it is unknown exactly which knot it is. We'll postulate more about that during the shave. And this is one of those handles you can get at Shave Forge or AliExpress, just kind of multicolors. It's an ergonomic handle. I like the way it feels, and it's really cheap. I don't usually like the colors because, see, if it was just green, I'd be cool with it. But see, they always bring in these conflicting colors, contrasting colors like the yellow in this case, or I have a blue and then they bring in the yellow with that, and it just kind of fights against that color scheme to me, and I don't really enjoy that. They did have a blue model that I was able to purchase, and I've used that here a lot, is where it only has the blue and black and kind of complementary colors right adjacent to blue on the little color spectrum, and then it looks really nice. But to me, it just kind of looks messy whenever you bring in, you know, just so many colors all at once, and then you've got some that kind of clash. But other people like them. But it's very practical. It's a cheap handle, and it works well. It's just plastic, it's just resin or polymer, you know, whatever it is. And so it's very practical. It's a good choice for guys on a budget, because it is comfortable. So we're going to take apart the Pearl Flexi so we can put the Perma-Sharp in there. I do have a stuffy nose, and so one of the reasons I chose the Lothur, I acquired the Lothur in a lot purchase. Here's what that Perma-Sharp looks like. And having tried the samples, I wasn't really impressed by Lothur as a soap. However, because of my stuffiness and congestion, I can't really smell anything today. And so I thought, what a good time to evaluate Lothur more on its performance instead of its smell. So this is Lothur Juice, which I think has some citrus notes in it, but I can't really smell any. And that's mainly, again, because of my nose. So this is not going to be a scent-related shave at all. Just going to be focused on performance, that sort of thing. So what setting are we going to put my Flexi on? You know, let's put it on a 3. Lock it down. That's often where I like it. A couple days of growth here on my face, but I think the 3 is going to take it down pretty well. The knot here is a Badger, obviously. So we know that. It could be a finest Badger. Probably not a silver tip, because the bristles have a little bit too much backbone to me to be a good silver tip. The tips also don't have a really thick gel layer here, and so I don't think they've been treated very much in terms of a finest Badger knot. It could be a finest Badger, but most of the finest that I've seen, this third layer right here, this white layer is not nearly this predominant. The black would go down much closer to the handle if it were just a 2-band brush. And that's why they call it 2-band, because you've got the band of white tips near the edge, and then you've got the black that takes over most of the knot. And then the change in the white color usually happens underneath the handle or just barely right at the handle with most 2-bands. And so since it's got some firmness, I'm thinking we're looking at maybe a high mountain white. A sore throat here. I'm going to have to take a drink of water. So maybe a high mountain white, it could be that, or just a 3-band knot that's a little bit lower in quality, maybe not good enough to be called a silver tip, maybe like a Super Badger or something like that. I don't know what natural Badger knots APSCo really goes for. I know that they have a lot of good choices for synthetic knots, and Andrew is the guy who does that. And if you ever have a question about synthetic knots, feel free to jump on his site and ask him, because he can recommend. He does a good job of recommending knots. I'm not a synthetic guy. Most of them have much too much backbone for me to enjoy. And but if you do like synthetics, because they're a very practical brush, feel free to use him as a resource, and definitely support his small business, because he is a good guy and he knows his stuff. So I'm gonna get my face wet now. All right, so the soap has obviously been used, and the person left a little bit of suds and soap around in the threads there. I usually like to scrub that off for easy opening and closing, but that's just me. So we will start with a wet brush, shake a lot of the water off. I was using it to clean the threads a little bit, so that's why it has a little bit of soap in the brush. And so let's do maybe a 20-second load, something like that. Definitely seen Lothur soaps on the net. They're a UK-based company. A bunch of shavers out there giving them a try. So that's a little over 20 seconds of loading, and let's just see if that's enough. You can tell I'm going to have a cup of water on hand as my throat's kind of drying out. All right, so we're going to take the brush, start working that loaded soap up into a early lather. I do feel some backbone here. There are some high mountain whites that do have a little bit more backbone and less softness in the tips. And there are others like Sterling that have really soft tips, almost to the point of being a silver tip or something luxurious like that. And they splay easily. I know that Zenith has a Manchurian knot that is similar in that it differs from a lot of other Manchurians, because I've had some that were just super soft, but then the tips just have a more natural feel with Zenith Manchurian, and so they're more scrubby. So we are kind of working it up. I've added a little bit of water here. So the deal with Lothur, I said a UK-based company, they use a silicone product in their soaps. And you can tell that's been a divisive comment about their soaps, because they put up a page on their website. Why do we use dimethicone in our soaps? And here's the short of it, and the lather's growing up here, looking nice. It's a silicone product, and it is used in different cosmetics. And there's, according to their website, and I believe them, there's not really anything dangerous about that in your lather. That is used in other cosmetic products, and it's authorized and proved and tested and all that stuff. But here's the big gotcha. Where's the lather? It's on the brush. I've long advocated not using conditioner on your shaving brushes because of the silicones. Shampoo that has conditioner elements built into it, same thing. They have these silicone elements to them. And a natural hair brush like a horse or boar or badger relies on the ability to absorb water to do its job well. And those silicones, like dimethicone, prevent that. So right now, I'm kind of putting little bits of silicone all over my brush. And that's why I'm using this brush instead of one of my really good ones. Now, eventually it'll wear off, if I keep using other more caustic soaps on this brush. And so it can be redeemed for sure. But I can definitely see the silicone elements here causing problems in a natural hair brush, especially a board that you're trying to break in. all those the bores really need to have water in the knot, in the fibers before you start using it. And so if you're putting silicone in it, then you're going to decrease its ability to absorb the water and be an effective knot. It may take a lot longer to break in. And so if you have natural hair brushes, I guess my recommendation is not to use Lothur soaps because they put the dimethicone in the soap. Now it probably does good things for your skin. It can artificially make the lather seem slicker, silkier. It's not bad, right? It's artificial, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Also, it as on the surface of your skin, it can help water retention, which is good. But to me, the damage is done by what it does in the brush. And so I'm not going to be using Lothur soaps very often. I might use them if I'm using a synthetic brush, and there are a lot of guys out there that only use synthetic brushes. And so and so those guys, use Lothur all you want, or any product that has silicone, because it's not going to damage your brush. But for natural hair brushes, boy, you want those bristles to be able to absorb water and be flexible and all that. And so that's the deal with Lothur soaps. If you type in Google Lothur soaps and then dimethicone, then you'll go right to their page and you can read what they're saying. And so obviously on their page, they're addressing it from a skincare point of view, which is good, but they're kind of ignoring the aspect of it causing problems with natural hair brushes, because they wouldn't want to put that on their website, would they? Well, this lather's looking pretty good. I didn't know about dimethicone the first time I used a Lothur sample on my channel here. And so I just evaluated it straight. And retail, I think this is a $28 soap. $28 for little 4 ounces of soap. And to me, we've got such great soaps out there. Barrister and Man, Declaration Grooming, Noble Otter. I mean, just tons of good, Mammoth. And so that's a greater cost than those guys. And the performance just wasn't nearly as good in my recollection. So let's see how it works out today. So to me, it would be hard to justify paying that much for the Lothur soaps. And we got a nice big splay here on the brush. Just because the lather looks right, might not be right. We'll see. Might be too thin because I watered it too much. And so what can you do if that happens? Well, just go back to the tub. Load for a couple seconds. And often you can kind of thicken up what's on your face. So these bristles are reasonably soft. They're definitely not scritchy. They are presenting a little bit of kind of scrub in a massage kind of way, but not in any kind of harsh way. So I definitely wouldn't have a problem using this brush for the long term if I was stuck in a desert island or something like that. At first glance here, it seems like it's going to be enjoyable. It does have more backbone than most of the, it's got the kind of backbone like a 2-band might have. Reasonable density. And why, one of the things about the silicone additive, why add it? Almost no other soap makers do that. And they present wonderful lathers. So why do it? When it's almost like cheating when nobody else is doing it, and then charging people more, because unless it gives some kind of fantastical advantage, and in my previous uses, I didn't see that advantage. I got a feeling it's not going to be any slicker than the lathers we get from other soaps. This Perma-Sharp is a great match with this razor. And this lather is dialed in really well. So to me, if you're bad at making lather, the dimethicone in the Lothur soaps may make you think you're better at making a lather than you really are. Because of that artificial slickness. And I don't, if it was just a matter of shaving slickness, I wouldn't care if they were putting a silicone product in the lather, in the soap. But, I mean, because, who cares if, you could think of it as cheating, but what's cheating? I mean, if it gives you a good result, then that should be fine, right? But I said cheating earlier because it kind of has that vibe. To me, it has a feel like that. However, if it's good for your skin, it helps out your skin a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong in throwing that in your soap product. However, the problem I have is just what it's going to do to animal hair brushes. And then also I have a problem with its price. Now this is performing better than the little samples I had, so I was glad to get a real tub of this in a lot purchase that I did. Still can't evaluate the scent, of course, but the lather's very nice. I think I pretty much nailed it. In terms of what's on my face, I did put a little too much water in it initially. This blade's a great complement to this razor, and it's moving through the stubble very nicely. Setting 3 is comfortable, but still quite effective at cutting for me and this blade. Second pass, nice. I know I had some viewers who recommended me that I try Lothur a while back. Put a little bit of water on my face. It does feel good, silky and creamy, that kind of thing. So this is a good Badger knot. I don't know which knot it is from AP Shave Co. I assume that the person who sold me this named it correctly, that it was actually from AP Shave Co. So I might contact Andrew and see if he can tell me which one it might be. The tips are not jelly. Very much at all. It's kind of a natural soft feel. I do maybe prefer a little less backbone. I wouldn't want to take this lather any wetter than what I have now. And so I probably just added a little too much water to it initially. And that kind of makes sense because if it's got that If it's got silicone in it, then it may not need to be as wet with the water as another soap might be. So how much water did I add to that? Wow, quite a bit, 25 milliliters. So most soaps do take less than that. So next time I'll try to remember to, if I use Lothur again, I'll try to remember to do that. A little bit less water. And as I've rinsed the brush out now, you know, actually the tips do have a little bit, maybe they were treated just a little bit, because they are joining up a little bit in kind of a jelly way, but just a minimal amount. So really not a bad knot, you know, pretty enjoyable. In terms of comparing it with other brushes that I have, I probably wouldn't use this as much, only because of the stiffness and the backbone. When I would reverse direction, it kind of pushes my skin around. But otherwise, in general, really a nice brush, and definitely some other people who don't like the luxury brushes, that luxury soft feel that I prefer, might really enjoy this knot. I'll contact Andrew and see if I can figure out what this is. So now this brush has a little bit of silicone on it. What is it could affect the way it works with the lather. Eventually, if enough silicone builds up on the brush, then it can affect the way it brings the soap and the water together. It can kill lather sometimes if a brush has that. And of course, if it's a bore brush, then that's a whole different ballpark. It can really slow down and retard the development of the brush in terms of absorbing that water, so the tips can split, so that it can splay, things like that. But in terms of skincare, in terms of the way my face feels, very nice lather. The razor and blade move quickly across my face. It's a good feel to the shaving experience. And so if I were a synthetic user, then I'd say, hey, Lothur is really nice, and you should definitely think about it. If you want to support that company, because what they do is, I think I read on their website, they're trying to have good ingredients, kind of do more with less. I think less ingredients, or and to be able to make a good, it's a tallow shave soap, to make a good shave soap without bringing in a whole bunch of complexities. And I don't know if that's really too different than any of the other good artisan soap makers, you know, like we've kind of talked about on this channel, but that's their deal. And so I did notice on West Coast Shaving, at least, the Lothur had a big markdown. It was down to $19 instead of $28, and so maybe it's not quite selling as hot as some people are hoping, or maybe it's just a temporary sale. I'm not going to make any judgments on that. But I don't really like their packaging, in the sense of, if you have several Lothur soaps, then the fragrance is not on the lid, and that's obviously to keep costs down, right? Kind of minimalist. But in very, I mean, you can barely even see it. This is the name of the scent right here. So they do their brand where it's easy to see, and then this is the name of their scent. And that's really difficult to grab your next soap. If you're looking at a lineup, it would be tricky to find the juice in this case. I don't particularly care for that. But if you're a person who just always has one soap sitting on your counter, then that's less of an issue, right? But independently, without thinking about the brushes, I'll say again, I like the lather. It is slick. I was able to put a lot of water into it, and it did get drippy, but I think it probably would have performed really well. I did go ahead and add more soap by going back to the tub, and that brought it back to a more creamy appearance, and it didn't quite drip off my razor as much, but it was a quality lather. It got the job done well, gave me a nice close shave, and this razor and blade performed well today with this lather. It worked well in the brush as well. So just independently as a slick lather, the Lothur base does do a good job. It's a nice lather. The silicone there does add a silky feel to it. So it's a good lather. So independently of that, if you use synthetic brushes, then you're going to be in good shape. If you want to spend that much money and you like some scents that the Lothur brand provides. But for me, I'm probably just going to shop with other guys who have amazing scents without using dimethicone and a lot lower price. That's my take on it. And now I'm going to give this a little work on the towel. And it didn't really change it too much, but it's got a nice big spread. It's a good brush. Today, because I can't smell anything, I'm going to pick something that's really helpful. It has a nice little smell on its own, but it's nothing special. But it is very nourishing. I don't really need anything nourishing right now, but I didn't want to use one of my scented products because the scent would be lost on me today. This is Aqua Velva Sensitive 5-in-1, and it was recommended to me by a friend who has really dry skin. And so if you do as well, this is available in the big box stores, at least here in the US, and it's very effective. And it's also not very costly. So excellent. My skin with that silicone from the soap and with that balm, I think I'm very protected today. I think I've covered everything. 25 milliliters of water used. It was a little bit too wet in terms of the lather. I loaded for 22 seconds and then went back for another 5 seconds or so to get more soap. And so I think that ended up to be a pretty decent ratio. I don't think I'm going to use Lothur very much just because I like natural hair brushes. And so I don't want to get that silicone all over them. And so who knows, maybe the next shave I do with this guy, I might pick something else. A soap like Williams or something like that would be good at working that silicone off of the bristles with its more soapy, harsh nature. Well, that's it. Good shave today. It was fun trying out. The samples that I used before with Lothur did not give me this kind of lather, and so I'm really glad to try the soap and be able to confirm that it is independently speaking, a good quality lather that's slick and performs well. You just have to know about the potential problems that it may present to natural hair animal brushes. All right, you guys, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys take care. Good night.